G'day everyone. Well, the list of jobs that I need to do to finish the bus is getting smaller every week. I'm running out of things to build. This week I'm working on getting all the cabinet doors finished. So I had made some of the doors or most of the doors for the lower cabinets in the kitchen area of the bus. But this week I'm working on getting doors done for all of the overhead cabinets. So as you can see, I've already done the doors for the overhead cabinets on the driver's side. So I've just made basic shaker style doors similar to what I did in the kitchen for the kitchen cabinets. I'm using different hinges for these ones. With the kitchen cabinet doors, I just use the standard sort of concealed hinges that you see in most kitchen cabinets these days, and they work well, but I wanted to do something different for these ones. So I got these hinges off Amazon, and I really like them. They're kind of like a bit rustic looking. They're self-closing hinges, so you know, if you open the door a little bit, they help to keep the door closed, but obviously that's not going to be enough when I'm driving. That's going to be coming open and everything in the cupboard's going to be falling out. So what I've also done is installed these latches. These are wing head, just cam locks. Now there's different variations of these. A lot of them come with actual key locks. I didn't really like the look of those. I preferred these ones with the black handles because they match the rest of the hardware and things that I've got in my bus. But basically what it is you can see this is the inside, and when I turn this handle, you can see this latch moves. And it actually locks into this little piece of metal angle. I've just got that screwed, I don't know if you can see that, screwed into the front of the cabinet there. And when I turn this handle, that latch will come up and lock in behind that. And the idea is, you can see if I lock it like closed, then the cabinet can't come forward. So hopefully they will be enough to stop the cabinets opening when I'm driving. Time will tell, but for now they seem to be doing the job. So I've done all of the ones on the driver's side. Now I need to do the ones for the passenger side here. And so I'll be building these today and I can show you how I do it. What have you got there, Pepper? Oh, you got a ball. Hey, get your ball, Bubba. You got your ball. Don't worry, I'm not going to take it off you. So I'm not going to be going into detail about how I do the actual frame for the cabinet doors because I already have a video on this. I'm doing them the same way that I made the doors for the lower cabinets in the kitchen. So I'll put a link to that video up here somewhere and also in the description below so you can check it out. I'll show in detail how I do the pocket holes and the routering and everything to make the basic frame for the doors. All right, so I've got all my door frames here ready to go. I made these ones slightly differently to the doors I made for the lower cabinets in the kitchen. With the doors that I made for the lower cabinets, I used 64mm wide pine for my frames. The reason for that was mostly because of the hinges that I was using. I was using the Blum concealed hinges that you find on most kitchen cabinets, and just because of the width that the hinge took up and the depth that they needed to be, I used the slightly wider pine. For these overhead cabinets, I'm going to be using different hinges that don't need as much space. So I was able to get away with making these out of just the 42mm wide pine, which I can get really cheaply from Bunnings. And there was just enough room to get the pocket holes in and leave enough gap for the routing. So that all worked out well. So they're a little bit narrower. And the other difference is that for the inside backing pieces, I'm just using 7mm ply for these ones. I used 9mm ply on the other kitchen cabinets, but these doors are a lot smaller, so they don't need to be as strong, and 7mm ply is a little bit lighter weight, so that's what I'm going with. So I've got all the pieces cut for the backing here, and they will just sit inside the frames like that. I will glue and nail them down, but before I do that, I just want to stain all of these pieces and then I can go ahead and put them all together. I'm using the Cabot's interior timber stains for my door frames. It's the same stains that I've used throughout the bus. I'm using the walnut stain for the frames and Sutherland teak for the backing pieces. So these are the hinges that I'm using. They're black metal hinges. They're self-closing. I bought these off Amazon. They're actually really good quality. I'm quite happy with them. They seem to work well. They just screw on to the back of the cabinet door like that. So you do see them, they're exposed hinges, but I quite like the look of them. They're a bit rustic, suit the rest of my bus. So the next thing I'm going to do is put the handle on. These are the handles that I'm using, same as what I used on the lower cabinets. And I'm basically just going to put it in the middle on this top section of the door. Do before I put the locks in is actually mount the door so it's sitting in the right position, and then I can measure exactly where I need to put the lock. So Okay, so it needs to be about there, which if I measure this is 125 mil from the ceiling here down to the middle of where the hole would need to go. So that's 125 mil, and my door is 33 mil from the ceiling. 125 minus 33. So that means I should be able, if I measure 92 millimeters from the top of the door, that's where the center of the hole for this should be. So I already marked where the center is horizontally. I did that when I put the handle in, and I've got a tiny little point here as well that I can go for. So I just now, along that line, need to mark 92 millimeters from the top of the door down. And that should be the center of my hole. So I'm just using a 19 mil hole saw because that's the size of the hole that is required for these particular latches. Oh, that was a good trick. Obviously didn't have that tightened up very well. Alright, so these are the latches that I'm using for my overhead cabinets. Just get them from Bunnings. I like these ones because, I've got one open here, they have a handle on them. Most of the latches of this sort that I've seen look a bit more like this. So this is another sort that you can get from Bunnings, and they're actually just a key lock. So that's the bit that you see at the front of the cabinet. I didn't really like that. It's silver. It doesn't really go with the rest of the cabinet hardware in my bus. And I like the idea of a handle rather than a key because I really don't need to lock it. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on the camera, but this barrel is not totally round. It's actually flattened on two sides. If you can see that. Yep. And it's really important that this barrel, when it's inside the cabinet, is fixed really tightly in position and can't turn, because if this barrel itself can spin in the hole in your cabinet, then when you turn the handle, it's going to turn the whole thing and it's not going to work as well. So ideally what you would do is drill a hole that's actually not round. You would cut a hole that is like an oval shape and it's slightly flattened on each side. But to do that, it's very tricky. You have to get, you know, the hole to the perfect shape and size of this so it's fitting tightly in there. I have seen a couple of videos on YouTube showing how to do that, but oh my god, it looks like a very fiddly process. A lot of these sort of locks actually come with a special pronged washer that's cut, the hole in the washer's cut to the shape of this, so it's actually slightly flattened on two sides, and it has prongs in it which dig into the timber in the back of your cabinet. That means that you can just drill an ordinary round hole and put this washer on, and it will lock the barrel into place and it won't be able to spin in the hole. So it makes it a lot easier to install. Now, these Goliath ones do not come with the pronged washer, which is annoying. This is all that comes with the Goliath one. So they just have this nut that screws onto the barrel on the other side of the cabinet door. And what I've found is that if I just drill a 19mm hole and push this in, even with the nut done up really tightly, the barrel can still spin a little bit in the hole, and it's not ideal. So what I'm actually doing is I'm kind of using a mix of two different locks. So I'm using these ones, as I said, because I like the look of the black handle, but I'm also using I'm going to get these ones as well so that I can use the pronged washer, because they're the same size barrel. The washer will fit both of them. And it just makes it a bit easier to install. The other thing that these don't come with is the little piece of angle that goes on the inside of the cabinet for this to lock onto. For some reason, it's not supplied with these ones, whereas it is with these ones. So again, I'm going to pinch the angle out of these ones to go with my locks. So it adds a few dollars to the cost of the latch for each door, but these are pretty cheap. These ones are only about $3 or $4, so it's not that big of a deal, and it's just going to make it a lot easier to install, and it's going to make it a lot more secure in the door. All right, so I have my Goliath latch and the nut that comes with that, and I have this pronged washer and the piece of angle that I got from the Taskmaster brand locks. I'm going to put those things together and see how we go. Got to make sure I put it the right way around when I stick it in the door. So now as I tighten this nut, it's pressing down on that washer and the prongs are sticking into the back of the door and locking it into position. So now I need to go and put this angle inside the cabinet, so at the right height, so that when this closes, it locks up behind that and the door can't come forward. Right, I've totally fucked this up. I think I've actually put this hole a little bit too high, and like the door is shutting, but when I try to lock this latch, it's not going up fully, and I think it's because it's actually hitting this. Like it's higher up than it should be, and it's actually hitting this part of the front of the cabinet. Right, well, there's no way I can move the hole lower without making a total hash of it. And I don't want to have to redo the door. Oh. Alright guys, I think I've got a solution to fix this, hopefully. Because I'm using bits from two different locks, I actually have a different kind of striker latch that comes with the other lock that I'm using. And it's a little bit shorter than the ones that come with the Goliath locks. So I'm hoping if I just switch these over, hopefully it will fit, then that will drop it down enough that it will clear this. We'll see. Excellent. All right, well, that'll work. Thankfully. Okay. Oh my god. Let's pay more attention when I'm measuring the other two. Alright, so I managed to do that one right. Now you'll see that there's still a little bit of play in that, and I'm thinking, you know, when I'm driving down the road, I'm going to have 10 cabinets all doing this. It's going to be really noisy. So what I've actually done, you can see this one doesn't do it. I've just put some little felt pieces on the edges here. These are just like self-adhesive furniture protectors. You can get them from Bunnings or other places, and it's just enough. Firstly, it helps to take up the slack of that little bit of play, so it brings the door a little bit closer so it's not moving in and out so much. And also if it is hitting the cabinet frame, it's not making as much noise compared to that one. It'll still rattle a little bit, but it's better than it was. So I'm going to do that for all the doors as well. So here's my two pieces of felt, and you can tell the difference now. Much quieter. Well, there it is, guys. Overhead cabinet doors are all done. Well, that's it for me for today, guys. It is too hot not to do anything else. I'm happy that I've got all of the cabinet doors done now. I think there's only a few little things left to build and this bus is just about finished.